In this daily drop, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into EVO, the brand new cinema robot from Motorized Precision. So let's go. Okay, everyone, it is less than 2 weeks away from NAB 2025. Things are heating up. I'm getting excited about going to the show. And not that long ago on Newsshooter.com, I saw a post about a brand new product coming out from Motorized Precision. They make cinema robots, and they've been doing such since about 2016. So they've been around for about a decade. Back then, they released Kira, Kira, and it was a pretty big deal. And since then, they have released 3 other cinema robots, Colossus, Kino, and Mia, and each of them for different applications, different payload capacities. But I was very lucky because I'm in Oregon and there's some great companies here making products for photographers, people in video production and filmmaking, to have reached out to a colleague of mine, Daniel Hurst from Via Films, and said, hey, because I know he's tied in with Motorized Precision, do you have any access to this new product, EVO? And he said, yeah, I'm actually going to have the product in my studio. He's a stone's throw from where I am for a couple of days. So last Friday, I went into Daniel's studio and spent about 4 hours checking out this product. Now, what is a cinema robot? Well, look, we can get some really great repeatable stuff from sliders and gimbals and cranes, especially if they're motorized, right? There's some things that you can get that are pretty great. In fact, I recently did an episode on the iFootage Shark Nano 2 slider, which can tie directly in with the DJI RS4, RS4 Pro, and you get multi-access repeatable moves with something like that for a relatively low cost of entry. But it's pretty limited in terms of what you can do. Getting to go in and see EVO was a real treat because it's not the type of product that I'm using all of the time. Obviously, cinema robots with multi-access, capabilities are being used in high-end commercial production. They're being used for live events. They're being used, obviously, for features and some episodic television applications. But they will give you the ability to create different moves that you just can't get from other products on the market. So the EVO is a cinema robot, a brand new 5th cinema robot from Motorized Precision, which weighs approximately 44 pounds. It also comes with a controller. You can mount it with an optional adapter to a tripod. And of course, it can be rigged in other ways as well. What struck me right off the bat was EVO was bigger in real life than I thought it was going to be. It's not humongous, and it only weighs 44 pounds with about an 11-pound load capacity. But it's bigger than I thought. It has 6 axes that it can move on. And if you take a look at the product here, you can see wherever those silver rings are, basically at those joints, those are the different axes that it can move on. And like I said before, it's a unique type of product because, of course, it's designed along with its software to create repeatable moves, which is, of course, what you'd want from a cinema robot or a motorized robot arm. But it's doing that at a much, much lower cost of entry to even all of the products that Motorized Precision has put to the market so far. When you're talking about traditional cinema robot applications, your cost of entry is somewhere in the neighborhood, and this is a big range, you're kind of getting in at around 70 grand or so, $70,000, going up to easily $250,000. Largely a rental item. If people are investing in cinema robots, they have to obviously have an ongoing need and application for using that particular product. So at least in my opinion, what EVO is doing is it's coming to market and offering something that's now accessible to the corporate market, to people who want to invest in something that can do what it can do, but do not have the budgets that would be needed even for something like the Mia and going into a product like that. So when you're looking at a product like this and your hardware cost of entry is just under $10,000 US, you're talking about, about 7 times less in terms of cost of entry for the hardware that you're getting for that. That does become accessible not for everybody. For some people, it's going to be sliders and smaller jibs and gimbals and things like that. But for a large percentage of companies now who may have never considered a product like this. So you also need software. So I just want to be transparent about that. There is a light version of their Motorized Precision Pro software that they have now made to go along with EVO. And that software is incredibly capable. You can add on to it as well, but you could also purchase the MP Pro software if you wanted to have virtually all of the functionality, save for the limitations of the particular cinema robot that you're using. Each one of them has a different load capacity, reach, so on and so forth, but you get the idea. So under $10,000, or we'll just call it $10,000 for the cinema robot and the controller. Software is $5,000 for the light version. 15 for the pro version, by the way. And then you're looking at a just under $2,000 a year basically subscription. And that's going to give you updates in terms of new features and software updates, support, things like that. And all of that will be published, I believe, on March 31st. So that's when you'll be able to go to Motorized Precision's website and see all of the little details. All right, so let's get into the actual cinema robot itself. So I went in there, saw this underslung version. Very, very cool. We threw my C70 on there and just kind of took that for a ride for a minute before they broke it down and then brought it downstairs to really the space that Daniel uses for tabletop stuff. They already had a standing set up or set of coffee beans and coffee-based drinks. And we, again, threw the C70 on there, and I did a little bit of vertical and a little bit of horizontal with that, just to see sort of the motion and the movement. What is really, really cool, which I was pleasantly surprised about, was that you can actually tactily, is that even a word? Grab the camera and the arm and you can move it to different positions. So you don't have to do every single thing. It's very tactile from that standpoint with the software. You can go ahead and go and set the camera and the arm to a particular place, set a target, go and set another one, and then just keep going back and forth between that and the arm itself and the software in order to realize the move that you want. Of course, then there's timing, there's, keyframing and interpolation and all of that fun stuff. So that was really cool. Then the set got 86'd and they brought in a little Arturia MIDI keyboard, again, C70, and we did some different moves there. And that's where we really started to take a look at the advantages of using a 6-axis system with the rolls and just the reach and where you can place your camera using something that has all of those individual axes. And really, really cool to see that and what is capable in that type of application. If you are anywhere in the space of doing tabletop product-based stuff, I could see a lot of companies and even some individuals who are doing that work on a regular basis investing in something like this because they're going to get things on camera that they can't get with other camera movement equipment. Lastly, we took it outside. Typical Oregon spring day, pouring rain, under a tent. Battery powered with a Core SWX power station. And just to note, if you're watching this before NAB 2025 and you're going to be at the show, Motorized Precision is actually going to be in Core SWX's booth at the show. And that outdoor setup was really sort of just the idea of an outdoor type of product, in this case, boots, a little walk on from Daniel that lands. I don't have that footage. That was shot with the red V Raptor. That was rigged, my C70 was rigged probably 5.5, 6 pounds. So well under, almost half the weight of the load capacity of EVO. Daniel's setup with the V Raptor, that was actually about a 10 plus, just over 10-pound build. That camera with the battery and everything and the lens, definitely a lot heavier than my C70 setup, which I had with the 16-28, that lightweight zoom. Set that to whole area AF, worked great, and was very happy about that. And, just really awesome to see how this can be used in a lot of different applications. I still have so much to learn about cinema robots and what they can do. I hope to have the opportunity to dive into that product some more in the future, because I think that education related to a product like that is going to be essential. Because when you get into, or you're in the higher end cinema robots from Motorized Precision, it's a different relationship. You're in something that's a much higher cost of entry. The support is a different type of support. I think this product is designed, and the software in general, by the way, is designed to be easy to use. Obviously, there's still a learning curve, but this is designed for people who are going to invest in this and use this in corporate event, tabletop, commercial settings, and to be, an owner operator type of item. So good education on how to use the robot, best practices, software setup, all of that. I think that's going to be essential in the long term. But I'm super excited to see what comes out of this. And again, to see more about it and how it evolves at NAB. Hopefully that was a nice sneak peek for you in terms of the possibilities. Obviously, there'll be some links in the description. Some of those may need to get updated as more information gets released. This is dropping before the official sort of site release from Motorized Precision. So come March 31st, I think you'll see a lot more information available about the product. And I'll make a reminder for myself to come back and add those links to the description. Don't forget to. And I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.